عزا على صحب فقدناهم على صحب لهم جرح عميق ما ذكرناهم
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسوله الكريم سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. بعد. Allah, today we will be continuing with our series on the heroes of Islam, and we'll be focusing today on the Sahabi and the uncle of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Hamza ibn Abdul Muttalib, the Asrullah wa Asr Rasulih. Hamza ibn Abdul Muttalib radiallahu anhu was the uncle of sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And although he was the uncle, he was actually from the same generation as the Prophet ﷺ. He was around the same age. So not only was he a relative, he was also a good friend of Muhammad ﷺ. And it was at the same time he was also his brother, because both had been breastfed by the same woman, Halima. And even before his Islam, he already knew that Muhammad ﷺ had brought something true, something great, and he knew that the truth had come with him. And in their youth, before Islam, before the revelation came, Hamza ibn Abdul Muttalib was someone who preferred life of leisure, he tried to take his place among the prominent leaders of Quraysh and Mecca. And Muhammad ﷺ chose a life of seclusion. He used to go to Hira and so on. And despite the fact that them each of them had a different way of living out their own youth, Hamza and Muhammad ﷺ were both very, very close together. And when Muhammad ﷺ first announced his revelation, Hamza ibn Abdul Muttalib would sit down among the Quraysh, leaders of Quraysh, when they're discussing the da'wah of Muhammad ﷺ, and they'd laugh at their talk. You'd accuse him of exaggeration. He would say that, that he said that, Hamza ibn Abdul Muttalib would completely disregard all their fears about Muhammad ﷺ, and Abu Jahl even accused him of just pretending not to know about it until Muhammad ﷺ had complete control all over them. And then after they left, after dispersed, his head was full of all the new ideas Prophet ﷺ had brought, everything he had heard from Prophet ﷺ and about Muhammad ﷺ. And his attitude, he noticed this attitude from Prophet ﷺ that while the Quraysh just slandering him and cursing him and attacking him, he's just staying calm and composed and fast with everything they're saying. And he finds that very, very unfamiliar to Bani Quraysh, who are known to be strong and to be challenging. And Allah is mentioned that that Hamza was someone who used to love hunting. So obviously he was a lion. He would love to hunt. He used to go fight and so on. Hamza, there's an incident obviously that once he went out for hunting, and on his way back home, he passed by the Kaaba as usual. And while he's going on the Kaaba that day, a female servant goes to him and says, "Oh, Abu Umara, you haven't seen what happened to your nephew at the hands of Al-Hakam ibn Hisham," meaning Abu Jahl. He said, when he says that when he saw Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam sitting there, he heard him, he called him bad names and treated him in a way that he hated. And he continues to explain what Abu Jahl had done to Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Hamza listens to this carefully. He thinks. He's silent, and he pauses for a while. Then he picks up his bow and he puts it on his shoulder. He dismounts his horse. He walks with fast, steady steps towards the Kaaba, hoping to see Abu Jahl there. And as soon as he sees him, it's now Abu Jahl sitting happy, proud, and arrogant in the middle of all the different Quraysh noblemen and politicians. He goes very, very calmly towards him, just like meeting an old friend. And as soon as he gets close to him, he whacks him on the head with his bow until he breaks the skin and bleeds. Allah, so much anger for hurting such a noble man. This is even before Islam. He has so much honor that he hit him until his skin, Abu Jahl's skin, was bleeding. And he said that at that moment, even before, no one had ever heard him say it before, he said that, "How dare you insult Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and I follow his religion and I say what he says. Come and retaliate upon me, hit me if you can." Allah, all of them will suddenly, they forget that, Hamza has just hit Abu Jahl. and they realized that, oh my God, this is to become a Muslim. SubhanAllah. It was such an overwhelming disaster for the Quraysh because he's from the elites of Mecca. This would prompt others from that elite to do the same, to join Islam, and would they fear this, and after this incident, Hamza ibn Abdul Muttalib, he goes and returns home. He suddenly just realizes what he had said. Prophet that he's what he has said, that he's following Prophet. And for that reason, then he realizes that he spends many days thinking about, what should I follow? Should I follow the religion of my forefathers? Should I follow the religion of Prophet? He starts to have doubts about his old religion, his father's religion. He starts to have doubts about the Lat, wal Uzza, and wa Manat, and all the different ones. He eventually begins to think, Islam begins to enter his heart, subhanAllah. And then he goes to Muhammad in the morning and he informs him about what he's done and how he wants to become Muslim. And in this way, Hamza ibn Abdul Muttalib becomes a Muslim. Allah. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala supports Islam with his conversion, like he supported Abu Bakr with Umar ibn Khattab when he later converted to Islam. And the first military raid later on, much later on, it was launched under the command of Hamza ibn Abdul Muttalib. The first raid upon the caravans and against the enemies of Muslims in Medina. It was all under the banner of the command of Hamza ibn Abdul Muttalib. And his skills were shown amazingly, subhanAllah. And even in Badr, his skills and how he fought the mushrikeen. And in that battle, they were outnumbered, so immensely outnumbered, and yet they managed to smash an entire army with the help of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the iman and the strength of the Muslims. In that battle, there's mentioned that the Muslims didn't even have Jews to it. They didn't even have, they came with sticks. They have weapons, they have sticks. And they fought with those sticks, and they fought with Islam and the malaika that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent down. إذ قال ربك subhanahu wa ta'ala says to malaika, أني معكم فثبتوا الذين آمنوا, that I am with you. So strengthen the will of the Muslim, of those who believe. سألقي في قلوب الذين كفروا الرعب فاضربوا فوق الأعناق واضربوا منهم كل بنان. I will strike terror into the hearts of the mushrikeen, into the enemies of Islam, and so hit them and attack them along with the Muslims. And there's many narrations about the angels helping out the Muslims in this battle. And even what happened, unfortunately, is during this battle, Hamza ibn Abdul Muttalib, he kills Utbah ibn Rabi'a. Utbah ibn Rabi'a was one of the noblemen of Quraysh. He was also the father of Hind ibn Utbah. Ibn Utbah was obviously the wife of Abu Sufyan ibn Harb, who was also one of the nobles of Mecca. And she is so grieved by her father's death that she goes and finds Wahshi, who was an Abyssinian slave who was very skilled with weapons, and she promises him that if he kills Hamza, she will set him free and she will give him all these jewelry, all these riches. SubhanAllah, her jewelry, she says she'll give it to him. She'll give it to this Abyssinian slave, obviously. Allah. And, when Hamza ibn Abdul Muttalib, when Battle of Uhud started, he was fighting, the Muslims were about to gain victory, and Hamza ibn Muttalib is fighting his ostrich feather that he used to put on his chest. He attached an ostrich feather, which would basically symbolize who he was. Battle, Allah. If the archers hadn't moved their places, that battle would have been a victory for the Muslim. Allah. And Wahshi even narrates that when he even looked around for Hamza to kill him, because he, as ordered by Hind bin Utbah, he saw that he was killing everyone around him with a sword. But he says that he prepared for him. I wanted him. I hid behind the tree. Nothing could stop him. He was a lion. Everyone around, no one could stop him. So until that, and actually, he uses his skills. He throws his spear, and he kills, and he hits Abdul Muttalib, radiallahu anhu. spear penetrated him from the back and came out from between his legs. And because of this, Muhammad ibn Abdul passes away, subhanAllah, shaheed in the battle. And then after this, when Hind ibn Utbah, after the battle of Uhud is finished, she comes around and looks for Hamza. When she comes and then she cuts his liver. She comes to his body and she cuts his liver out and she chews it. Try and take vengeance of our father, Allah, because that's how much hatred she has towards Hamza. And all of these Sahaba are so upset and so sad that it's not even like a Islamic thing, that it was actually amongst the Arabs. They had a moral code that they would not mutilate bodies, and this is what happened here. They mutilated the body of Hamza ibn Abdul Muttalib, and he started crying, Allah. And there's a famous hadith that he says about this, that if it's only the sake of Safiya, who was the sister of Hamza, he would have ordered Hamza ibn Abdul Muttalib to have been left without burying. So he may be in the stomachs of beasts and in the claws of birds. He would not be buried. It was normal. And he said that when he saw Hamza ibn Abdul Muttalib, the lion of Allah, lying on the ground as a shaheed, says, he'll never have a worse loss in my life than yours. I've never been more outraged than I am now. SubhanAllah. He's never had a greater loss in his life than when Hamza ibn Abdul Muttalib has passed away. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he shows his love for people. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves someone, other people will love him as well. And the Sahaba, they shout that, Wallahi, if we conquer them, then we will cut them in a way that no Arab has done before. Their anger is that much. Allah, and if there had not been, the commands not to mutilate bodies, Allah, they may have done it. There's so much anger, so much, pain they had from the death of Hamza ibn Abdul Muttalib radiallahu anhu. And about Hamza ibn Abdul Muttalib, his sister Safiya said about him, the happy Jannah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has invited such a destiny. For Hamza, what was what he wanted. I won't forget you if I stayed or departed. I cry for a lion by whom Allah was protected. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, may he reward you for what you've done for Islam. And even another woman came, subhanAllah, whose father and brother had been killed in the battle. And she asked him, what has happened? Who's died? She hears about Hamza, and she's incredibly upset. And she finds, asks, where's Muhammad sallallahu? And she waits until Muhammad sallallahu comes. They return to Medina, and she sees him, and he says, Wallahi, if you are safe, then no other disaster has been important, because these were the Muslims, these were the Muhajirin and Ansar. They were ready to sacrifice themselves for Islam, Muslims, for Muhammad, as long as for and all the time for Jannah. As we mentioned with Nusayb bin Gahab, he asked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala just for companionship with him in paradise. And he said, Antum murfaqai fil Jannah. Allahumma salli wa sallim ala nabiyyik Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. In great lessons we can learn from this is that even a person who has great character in Islam, even before Islam, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala opens their hearts. If you try and improve your character, try and even aspire a non-Muslim to have good character, because a person who has good character, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will eventually guide him to Islam. And subhanAllah, we see a lot of people who a lot of Muslims, they will say that, we are upon the deen, we are upon this and that, and yet they will act like kuffar. To be frank, they will act like kuffar in their manners and in their actions. They will act like kuffar, and they will mock people, they will slander, they will backbite, they will attack. What kind of Islam is this? Allah. So inshallah, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward us. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward and accept Hamza ibn Abdul Muttalib into his Jannah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us from those in paradise and companions from الذين أنعم الله عليهم من النبيين والصديقين والشهداء والصالحين حسن أولئك رفيقا وصلى الله وسلم على نبينا محمد على آله وأصحابه أجمعين.